Hello there, friends. Welcome to episode 64 of That One Gaming Podcast. My name is Colin, but I'm otherwise known as Delicious Morsels, and here with me today is Lucas, aka Carn Evil 9. How is Lucas doing today?
I don't have enough hands to hold this controller properly.
Yeah, that's a problem. Because, shouldn't you have an extra hand? Nintendo expects us to have extra hands, apparently. Anyway, Neil, how are you doing today? Better known
I'm doing
as
pretty
VMK.
swell.
That's VMK89. It's Neil. He's doing
Yeah.
swell. You got your extra hand with you for that?
Yeah, I was
controller?
just in surgery and they detached one in the center of my chest.
I see. That's gotta be weird. You doing okay? Did it hurt?
Well, I'm looking into reporting it and maybe suing. So hopefully I'll at least get some money out of it.
I hope so too. That seems highly uncomfortable. I don't know how your shirts are gonna fit now. You're gonna have to cut holes in all your shirts.
Yeah, I'd say it's been inconvenient.
Yeah.
I went to Chernobyl and all I got was this 3-sleeved t-shirt.
Oh boy. Anyway, if you are new to this podcast, welcome. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, or one of the many other podcasting platforms out there where the three of us get together every other week to talk about a variety of topics in the world of gaming. And this week, in celebration of our 64th episode, we will be discussing none other than the iconic gaming console known as the Sony PlayStation.
Whoa.
No. How'd you
It's
go in
definitely
there?
we're actually talking about the Atari Jaguar, the first 64-bit console.
Yeah. See? No, we're talking about the Nintendo 64, released in Japan on June 23 of 1996, and in North America later that year on September 29th, the N64 marked Nintendo's first big foray into 3D gaming. Unlike its competitors in the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn, Nintendo opted to maintain the use of cartridges as the format for its games rather than springing for the shiny new compact disc medium of its contemporaries. This would both aid and harm the success of the console, as while the cartridge medium did allow for advantages like shorter loading times compared to compact discs, they sorely lacked in storage capacity, which caused many developers, including some longtime Nintendo partners like Squaresoft, to look to its competitors to deliver the games they were creating. However, in spite of losing ground to the Sony PlayStation, the N64 still held its own with a strong list of exclusives, including the likes of Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
And Majora's Mask.
Ocarina of Tim?
Oh.
Something like that. Additionally, thanks to its 4 included controller ports, the console was a huge multiplayer success with titles like Super Smash Bros. And GoldenEye 007. Speaking of controllers, that's also a huge point of discussion surrounding the system, thanks to its unique three-pronged design. Certainly a choice. One that they made.
Yep. It looks like a jet airplane.
Still to this day, nobody knows why they made that choice. But it's a very decent controller for specifically Nintendo 64 games. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get to that, we'd like to talk about the games that we've been playing since the last episode. So, Lucas, what have you been playing?
Not a whole lot this week, actually. Mostly because it's been a week.
Yeah.
I polished off Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
Nice. I didn't. I tried.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Yep. And then, a different kind of game, in the form of actually going big game hunting, because for the first time in almost 20 years, I decided to actually get some deer tags and go out hunting because
Nice.
I have a craving for venison. And I work normal hours now, so like taking time off to go hunting isn't actually like incredibly disruptive to my living schedule.
Nice.
So yeah.
So how'd
that's
that
what
go?
I've been doing. Poorly.
Ah.
So far at least. Went out in the morning, in the afternoon on Saturday, and didn't see anything. My mom had a couple of does sneak up behind her, but she didn't get anything either. And then nothing this morning, but I've still got plenty of time to get out there and get one, because I've got a really short work week this week because my sister and her partner are coming home to visit on Wednesday, and I've taken the 21st through the 27th off because when I started my new job, I started out with 2 weeks of vacation time.
Wow.
And I have to use up at least a week of that because they only roll over 1 week for the new year. So I have to take a vacation, I guess. So I decided to take the 21st through the 27th off because they're arriving sometime Wednesday afternoon on the 20th. And then it just so happens that that's the week leading up to Thanksgiving. And I have the day of Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving off. So when I punch out on the 20th, I am off work until December 2nd.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And somewhere in there, we're going to go over and visit the Thumb. And from what I've heard from my dad, because he was over there this weekend hunting, there's a lot more deer over there, and it's a lot easier to find them as a result.
Nice.
Just because there's more of them, but also, like, it's all farmland around my grandma's house because they're farmers. That's what they do. So, like, there's more deer, and most of the land is basically deer feed plot.
Nice.
So it's easy pickings. Like, my dad got one. My cousin Brian's son got one. Both my uncles got one.
So it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. And I will finally, after almost 20 years, get my first deer.
Nice. Yeah, we got a friend of the family that does hunting out in the woods behind my parents' house, and he was out this morning, and I guess my parents' neighbor was running an excavator, kind of digging out their pond early this morning while he was out hunting. So he got really, really upset because like it was scaring all the deer off.
Yeah.
But he's got a bunch of trail cams and stuff all set up out there too to keep watch on him and all that. Apparently there was like a 4-point buck that just walked right up and just looked right dead in the camera. It was just like, hi, catch me if you can.
Oh dear.
They are deer, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating that I didn't see anything out in the woods, but like, you know, driving to and from work in the middle of the road, I'll see like 2 or 3 of them.
Right. Oh, we took a drive down to a little ways to pick up to buy a tarp to cover my other car for the winter because we're storing it outside. And on the way back, right on the side of the highway, there was a dead deer and just the head just chopped off. Like someone it must have been a buck with a nice set of antlers or something because like, yeah, it was very obviously just the head was just chopped clean off the thing. It's like, wow, okay. It's like, you do you, I guess.
Yeah. Being in Michigan, we do see a lot of like roadkill deer on the side of the road, but like,
yep,
never seen one decapitated like that before. So
Yep.
that seems intentional.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But anyway, Neil,
Yeah.
what have you been playing?
Also not a ton. Did some Minecraft since I got time for that again now. But also, in prep for this episode, Mario 64 this morning, evening, afternoon, before the episode. Wow, rude, Lucas. I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at like Mario platformers. I'm not very good at 3D platformers, so it was tricky. I think I got 9 stars. It's very interesting playing Mario 64 when I'm very familiar with Super Mario 63, because a lot of this stuff is like similar, sort of. It's like some Uncanny Valley stuff going on sometimes. I ended off at the first Bowser road area thing, and when I paused it, it zoomed out to show the whole map, and it was super similar to how the 2D map looks in Super Mario 63 for that exact same level.
Huh.
Which that game did a lot of that, of like, this is Super Mario 63 or Super Mario 64 just 2D. Like notably in Bomb Battlefield in Super Mario 63, there's this big rock that has a cage, and there's a little wooden stake in front of it. There's no chain chomp, but it's very obviously, that bit where the chain chomp is. But definitely struggled with Super Mario 64's gameplay, platforming. Not my cup of tea exactly, but I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's very of its time, and they were working with what they had. So,
yeah.
Colin, somehow I get the impression you've been playing at least 3 games.
Well, wouldn't you know it? I have. Well, I mean, Tuesday night, continuing Birth by Sleep. Started Aqua's playthrough, and loving it so far. Aqua is best girl, and she is really fun to play as, and only getting more fun as I unlock more slots for my command deck. So I'm really looking forward to this coming Tuesday night to continue that, because she is really, really fun. And then also on Thursday nights, I am streaming World of Final Fantasy on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/deliciousmorsels. And that game is also incredibly fun. I mentioned before, it's basically Pokemon and Final Fantasy combined, and tons of cameo characters, and I'm really having fun kind of like picking out all of the little subtle Easter eggs and stuff, whether it's like just an environment that you're walking through or a song that's playing or something. It's like, it's really fun having played all these games to be able to recognize all of this stuff and just see how much this game actually celebrates the franchise. And then also guessing upcoming cameo characters before they show up. Some of them are a lot easier to guess ahead of time than others, because there's some that's like very obviously moving in the direction of, yeah, we're going to meet this person. And then there's other ones where they're just going to drop in out of nowhere to save the day. And it's like, oh, hey, Tifa, how you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, we fought some pirates. We fought some dragons. And at the end of this last week's stream, we encountered Tifa. And this next coming up stream, which will have already happened by the time this episode airs. So there's that. But there's going to be some Final Fantasy VII stuff going on, because left off outside of a settlement that looked suspiciously like Midgar. So that's going to be really fun. I love this game, and I'm having a good time streaming it too. It's been so fun being back doing this now every week. And it's another thing I look forward to each week. Just kind of chilling, playing RPGs that I love, and streaming and chatting. Shout outs to everyone that comes by to chat. It's been a good time so far. And also, a game that I have not been streaming. Still, I think I mentioned I started like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So I'm still playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And I unlocked the Sujimon stuff yesterday as I was playing it. And they really, really expanded it for this game. Like they teased it and stuff in all the promotional material that they were doing a huge expansion. I just didn't know it was going to be like as big of an expansion as it was over the previous game. Because the previous game, you had basically just a Pokedex that you were filling out. You didn't there was no catching mechanic. There's no battling with them and stuff. You're basically just, every time you fight a guy, if you haven't fought him yet, like that type of enemy yet, it just gets added to your Pokedex basically. And like that was the extent of that mechanic in the previous game. In this one, there are 130 unique Sujimon that you can catch. And the way that you catch them is you don't like catch them in like a Pokeball or anything. You have a like traditional Japanese gift box that after you beat the crap out of them, you hand them the gift box and you beg forgiveness and you ask them to join your party. It is hilarious. It's so funny. And then they can join you or they can reject and just walk away. And then you get sad because they rejected you and walk away. Sneezing. There we go. I'm going to have to remember to edit that out now that I have the time saving of truncate silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in addition to actually like physically catching them and battling with them, there are it's like a tradition, like a Yakuza tradition in some of these side stories where they're almost like you have like a group of enemies that you have to fight your way up through as you progress through the side story. So it's like that, but this time they are presented as kind of like gym leaders / Elite Four kind of rolled into one in a way. So you get to a certain point, you raise your rank up in the Sujimon League enough, and then you can fight one of them, get a badge from them, and there's 4 of them in total. They're called instead of the Elite Four, they're called the Discreet Four. Like everything is very obviously Pokemon coded. It's great. But so after you raise your rank in the Sujimon League up to a certain point by battling other Sujimon trainers found throughout Hawaii, because Infinite Wealth takes place in Hawaii, then you get to fight one of the Discreet Four. You beat one of them, you get a badge, and then you can progress to the next tier of the league. And then you go all the way through until you fight the guy at the very top of the league. So, and it's really, really fun. Battles, instead of being 1-on-1 like Pokemon, they're actually like 3-on-3, but you can have a team of 6. So you have 3 that are in active combat, and then you have 3 that are benched that you can swap out at your leisure. Basically, once per turn, you can move the position of one of your guys to gain some kind of type advantage and stuff. But unlike Pokemon with its 18 types now, they kept it simple so that way more people could enjoy it. They had the classic like fire, grass, water, rock, paper, scissors kind of triangle there. And then there are light and dark. And those 2 are only strong against one another. They're separate from the grass, water, fire stuff. So it's really, really easy to understand like the typings and stuff in this for people that maybe don't have the Pokemon backgrounds that some of us have.
Yeah, that definitely does sound like something I would prefer over the bajillion types and resistances and weaknesses in current Pokemon.
Yeah, because this is very literally, it's just rock, paper, scissors, and then light and dark are their own thing. And everything is like very clearly illustrated as well. It's like whenever you attack, so you can attack, actually all of your attacks go out in like 3 different directions. So if your guy's in the center of the field, it will attack all 3 of your opponents. And then if he's like on the right side of the field, he will attack the guy in front of him and the guy to the left, sort of thing like that. And there's a line that connects to each of the enemies that you can attack when you're hovering over the guy that you're trying to attack with. And depending on what the line looks like, it'll tell you if this effect or if this attack isn't going to be very effective, if it's going to be just normal effectiveness, or if it's going to be a super effective attack. So it does a lot to like kind of not only just simplify it, but also illustrate it as well. It's really fun. I have done a lot of fighting, but I found that at rank 1, or at my current rank before I beat the first guy in the discrete 4, like all of my guys, their levels cap at 10. So I've got to go fight the first guy in the discrete 4 so that way I can break that level cap and get them a little bit stronger. Because I fought a couple guys with their dudes in the 20s and got destroyed. Utterly destroyed. It was great. It was bad. I died. My Suji mom were sad. But that's not the only game. That's just a whole other game within like a Dragon Infinite Wealth that is already just its own game. No, because in addition to Pokemon, they also have Animal Crossing.
What?
So it's called Dondoko Island. And after a certain point in the game, you get asked to go to this island that is just, it's an old resort island off the coast of Hawaii that has just completely fallen into disarray. And there's like a whole bunch of pirates that are just dumping their trash there and stuff. And the place is just complete rubble. You know, kind of like the way the condition you would find your island in at the start of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Just trash everywhere. You got to clean it up. So you get asked to come over to this resort island so that way you can clean it up and bring it back to its former glory, Animal Crossing style. It's literally, it's just like you go around the island, you chop down trees, you break rocks and stuff, you clean up trash to get raw materials, you take it back, and then you build out your little resort island however you want, and then you court customers to come over and enjoy your resort so that way it can regain its former glory, just the same way that you would do in an Animal Crossing game trying to get villagers to come and live in your town. It's great. It's like completely fully featured like an Animal Crossing game. It's crazy. It's got its own like day-night cycle, like separate from the game itself. So that way whenever you're on the island, you can see like a clock of the time passing by. So that way every single day, like your resources reset and stuff so you can go out and collect more. And all that. Like, there's so much game in this game. It's ridiculous. This is like one of the best values for any video game I could ever think of right here. There's so much there. And then in addition to that, you get this amazing core story as well, because like the story is also incredibly good. We're trying to find Ichiban's mom, but he's never met his mom because he was separated from her at birth. And then he grew up in the Soapland, which is basically a brothel in Japan. But so Ichiban is trying to find his mom, but also Kiryu is there working for the government faction that he's working for, kind of in the shadows because he's technically on paper he's dead. Well, Kiryu's there because his faction is also looking for Ichiban's mom because all the bad guys in Hawaii are also looking for Ichiban's mom. And we don't know why. Just everybody in Hawaii is looking for Ichiban's mom, and we don't know why, but she's gone missing, and we don't know if she's already dead or if she's in hiding. And it's great. I love this game so much. I love the Yakuza series so much. And it's such a good feeling to finally, like, after 2 years, almost to the date, because it was November of 2022 that I got into the Judgment series, which led me into the Yakuza series proper. So over the last 2 years to finally get to like this point where I am at the current game in the series, it feels a lot like how I felt with Final Fantasy XIV earlier this year, where I was like ready for Dawn Trail, right in time for Dawn Trail. I was like, yes, let's go. And I love that feeling. And then there's coming next February, there's another one. Because then we get Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, where it's Majima's side story. We get to find out what Majima's doing in Hawaii and why he doesn't have a memory and why he's a pirate.
Isn't that basically what happened to Jace in Magic?
Kind of. Has amnesia, woke up as a pirate.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. But anyway, let's move onward to our next segment. It's our Hey Listeners segment.
Hey, listen!
Each episode, we ask our Discord members a prompt based on the topic of the episode for them to respond to. And if you, the listener, would like to join in on the fun, there is a link to our Discord down below, and we hope to see you there. This week is all about the Nintendo 64, so we asked our listeners for their memories of the console, just general comments about the console, because we are going to celebrate it here today.
And boy, howdy did they deliver.
We got some great write-ins this week, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
What we're kind of lacking in length for what we were playing, we're making up for with massive Hey Listeners.
Some great Hey Listeners. And our first write-in today comes from Crystal Lily, who writes, "The Nintendo 64 is a wonderful console that brought life to so many wonderful games back in the day that I have very fond memories of. I spent hours as a child playing things like Pokemon Snap, Donkey Kong 64, Sesame Street, Numbers and Letters, Yoshi's Story, and many more. The game I remember most fondly is Hey You Pikachu. I would go for hours at a time talking to it and playing because there had never been a game where..." Okay, I gotta say that again. I was missing the sentence midway through. I would go for hours at a time talking to it and playing because there had never been a game where you could speak to a character before like that. The fishing game was fun, though I felt silly yelling "pull" at the top of my lungs over and over to get Pikachu to reel in a fish Pokemon. The level with the Haunter and the Lost Poliwag scared me as a kid, but eventually I was brave enough to do it by myself and I felt proud. I could gush on and on about so many memories of different games, but I want to keep it shortish. Just wait until you guys do the GameCube. We are definitely going to be doing more episodes about consoles in the future, for sure. This was just a great opportunity to kick off that kind of discussion, though, because episode 64, Nintendo 64, it just works.
Yeah. It's a lot more novel than like starting off episode 2 with the PlayStation 2 and then going into episode 3 with the PlayStation.
Right. Anyway, our next write-in comes from Jazzy, who writes, "The N64 sure is something special. Growing up, I was always behind the times when it came to consoles. For reference, my first home yeah, me too. For reference, my first home console was a PS2 I got for Christmas in 2004. Hey, that's when I got my PS2. Before that was a Game Boy Color in 2001. I didn't even know that a SNES existed, let alone anything by Sega. Sorry, Lucas. I wouldn't get my own N64 until my senior year of high school when I bought one so I could check out the classics. But I have wonderful memories as a kid going to friends' houses and seeing the N64 in action. My first time seeing Pokemon Stadium, I definitely thought, this is the future. I experienced Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, and Super Smash Bros. This way too. It was quite literally breathtaking for little kid Jazzy, who'd only seen stuff on the Game Boy up to this point in time. Was the N64 the first 3D console? If not, it felt like it to me, as huge as Mario 64 and Zelda were. Fun fact! Nomura came up with the idea of Kingdom Hearts because he was so impressed with Mario 64 and wanted to do something similar with another well-known IP like Disney. So I owe a lot to that little console. And our next write-in is from Chic. He writes, Quest 64. I have a cart. It's one of 2 physical carts I have. I have a little bit more than 2 physical N64 carts. I have 2 of the same physical N64 cart, which I'm not opposed to owning 2 of this game because I'm obviously, from my habits of buying Final Fantasy games, not opposed to owning multiple copies of the same game. So yeah, I have like 5, 6, and 64 games. That collection has like been built and restarted like 4 different times over the years. We'll get into it later. For some reason, the N64 is the console that I have owned and gotten rid of the most of over the years. We'll just leave it at that for now. And our final write-in comes from Lord Kirov. Oh, wait.
Final. Yeah.
I didn't see Diablo sneaked one in there. Cool.
Yeah.
Gonna edit it real quick.
Late breaking news.
And our next writing comes from Lord Kirov, who writes, the N64 was my first game console. It was a staple in my house, well past us even getting the PS2. We basically used it until it broke. And when I say we had a lot of the accessories, I mean we probably had half of the official ones and most of the unofficial ones, thanks to my older brother. I have so many fond memories of playing games on this thing. My first introduction to the James Bond franchise was playing GoldenEye 007 on the N64. It was one of my favorite games for a long time, and I bust out the N64 years after getting newer consoles just to play it. I had some of my best memories playing multiplayer with my brothers, and it reminds me of watching my older brother playing it when I was, quote, too young to play violent games. Pokemon Stadium will forever be stuck in my mind, not for the main game. Oh, that's where we're okay. Pokemon Stadium will be forever stuck in my mind, not for the main games that I played like crazy, but for the mini games, specifically the Lickitung mini games. No clue why, but the beat of the music at the end of the round sound live rent free in my head. I remember finding a Bass Pro fishing game at a yard sale once, taking it home to try it out just because it was an N64 game, and I thought every game on that glorious old console was pure gold. I was shocked when the game was garbage, but I still played it for almost 3 hours, thinking I was just bad at it. For me, it's a major nostalgia trip of times with my family and friends. Mostly, and sorry to get this personal, but it's true, it brings back some of my most fond memories of my late older brother Eric. Watching him play the games I wasn't allowed to play yet, playing multiplayer with him after he got bored with the single player and ignored our parents' rules, and him using cheat codes and game glitches to absolutely dunk on me every single time. I never got mad because it's one of the few things we did as brothers that was fun for me. Wish I had more space, but that's really the gist of it off the top of my head. Thank you so much for that write-in, Lord Kirov. And our last write-in for the day comes from Diablo, who writes, the N64. That brings back memories now. I honestly didn't have a lot of games for it, only like 3 or 4, and I couldn't even play 2 of them because they were rated M for a good long while. It was Mortal Kombat 64, War Gods, Extreme G, and Mario Kart 64. Never played Super Mario 64, didn't even know that was a thing, or even Zelda at the time. But I just played Mario Kart constantly against my mother, and after he was born and got older, my little brother. I lost track of how many times we would play a stage, look for little secrets and shortcuts, and then try to use them in an actual race, only to mistime it and hit a wall. Yeah, I know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone that wrote in. Those were some great submissions this week, and we truly, truly appreciate it. And a reminder, if you, listening to this, want to also write in for our Hey Listeners prompts, you can do so by joining our Discord for absolutely free. It will never be paywalled, and you can do so from the link in the description down below. We truly hope to see you there, because it's good times. We have good times there.
Yeah.
Just like today, in celebration of episode 64 and the N64, Neil was streaming Super Mario 64 for everyone in the Discord to see.
Yeah,
We do fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's good times. Anyway,
Yep.
let's
Sometimes
get to our
even eat incredibly hot chips and then
suffer.
yeah. It was great.
But you survived.
And I still beat you at Super Metroid Randomizer.
Yeah, that
And
is
I
true.
flexed extra hard and 100%ed it too.
That is also true. That is a thing that happened live in the That One Gaming Podcast Discord. And if you weren't there, you missed it. It's good times. But anyway, let's get to our main topic discussion, the Nintendo 64.
Worst console ever. There's no Metroid games on it. The end.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
I had so much
we
fun
find
with that
you after the
before.
podcast.
Yeah, so I mentioned that the N64 was the console that I probably owned the most and gotten rid of the most of in my lifetime. Because I got the one, like my first N64 that I owned, that I traded my Sega Genesis for, that I wish I hadn't, but that's beside the point. I traded it for a Nintendo 64 and a copy of Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Got home, plugged it in, played it. It was like, dang, man, this game's hard. It never really got far. And then I would eventually get some other games. My friend, who I've mentioned before, his older brother always had the new consoles as they came out and stuff. So I knew of like games that I liked playing over there, like Battle Tanks Global Assault, low key, a highly underrated game, Nintendo 64. Probably one of my favorite games on the console, honestly. And I own 2 copies of it. That's the game I own 2 copies of. But yeah, so then that N64, I very foolishly traded it for that copy of Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. That was the one that, I don't know if you guys remember, but the school called both my and my friends' moms and got them involved with it.
Oh yeah.
Because they thought I was being ripped off they thought he was ripping me off when I was the one that initiated the trade. Very stupidly. Mistakes were made. But we live with our mistakes. They make us who we are. So that was the end of that N64. Then like years later, I would get another one. And I got the clear green console. Which I didn't know was actually rare at the time. Like apparently the green one specifically was one of the rarer color options.
Huh.
Didn't know that. So I modded it.
No.
And I painted it a color shifting blue to purple with white accents, put LEDs behind the controller ports and behind the N64 logo, because those were actually, like, the N64 itself is actually very easy to mod. It's a very fun console for modding, especially if you're just getting started in that kind of stuff. Like, I was just getting started with LED mods and stuff like that, and I was able to wire up LEDs behind the controller ports and everything and power them when the console powers on. All those lights power on with it and stuff. Anyway, that console became a wedding gift for Lucas and his wife.
Yep.
So that's N64 number 2.
Yep. Yeah.
The one that I own now,
Just so
I still own
happened
it.
that like blue and purple were mine and Becca's wedding colors.
Yeah, so it was too perfect.
Yeah.
It was too perfect. So
Yeah.
So now I have my 3rd Nintendo 64 console. And I still have it. And I'm not getting rid of it. I do plan to mod this one as well. I just haven't got to it yet. I want to do like the full on like HDMI mod and everything to it. Like just go all out. But I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Have you seen Matt Casey's video on building a USB Type-C power supply for an N64?
No.
It's very silly. You should check that out.
Huh. But yeah, for most of my childhood, though, the N64 was only ever something that I played at friends' houses.
It was for me as well for the longest time.
And then your parents stumbled across that Hey You Pikachu special edition console.
Yes.
I am very jealous of that.
Yep.
Such a cool looking little console.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't have that console anymore, but, you know, it's over at my parents' house. And I think so is our copy of Mario Kart 64, because, like, we played that to death.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason I bought another Nintendo 64 also. It was like when we had our Mario Kart ranking episode coming up. It was like
Yeah.
I actually got a great deal on this third one too because I paid $80 for it. It came with not only I think it came with 2 controllers. It might have only come with 1. But it also came with a copy of Super Mario 64
Nice.
for $80.
That's a pretty good bundle.
Yeah, so I basically got Mario 64 for free. It's like, yeah, I'll take it. But then I went out and bought a copy of Mario Kart 64 because emulating that game is bad.
A little bit, yeah.
It just doesn't run
Is
well
it-
on emulation.
I mean,
N64 emulation in general is just kind of hit and miss, though. Even today, it's kind of weird.
yeah. Like, yeah, not just like in the emulation department, but in the controller department too. Like a lot of the time I find that I don't play emulated N64 games just because the controller's very unique design makes it difficult to just like use a sort of like generic Xbox or PlayStation style gamepad for controls.
It's like they knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I've got the Nintendo Switch N64 controller. I wonder if I can link that up to a just generic Bluetooth connection on my desktop and if it would register it for N64 emulation.
Yeah. Be something to look into.
I mean, N64 emulation in general is still... And there aren't really any games that I would really feel hard-pressed to emulate it, really.
Yeah.
I also just realized I never clicked record in Audacity, so hopefully
Nice.
Craig doesn't betray us here today.
Yeah, I was late too.
But where was I going?
Right.
But yeah, I haven't even subscribed to the N64 like expansion pack on Switch Online yet.
Huh.
It's like I bought for the longest time those controllers you just couldn't get them. So
Yeah.
finally they came back in stock once and I was like, I'm just going to buy this thing so I have it so
Yeah.
I can use it.
Yeah.
So I did. And I haven't used it yet, but I have it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you can do an okay enough job of, like, doing, or, like, if you have a, like, the GameCube USB adapter, you can use that as, or for, you know, make do with that in place of an N64 controller. But it's not always ideal because the N64's controller is a very unique design that has, 3 grips, and not every game uses the D-pad. But then, like, you think you could get away with, like, the GameCube layout, like the C stick mapped to the C buttons, and the A and B mapped to, well, A and B. And then, left, right, and Z as L, R, and Z. But then you kind of run into, with some games, the issue of the D-pad. Let's call the GameCube controller, like, loosely Xbox layout, because, like, it's got, like, your main analog stick is where your thumb rests, usually. D-pad's down below that, then it's got the secondary analog stick in the lower position, and your base buttons up top. Games like, Kirby 64 Crystal Shards, or like Mario, or like Mortal Kombat Trilogy, or Mortal Kombat 4, that use the D-pad for input, and suddenly you have the problem with like playing fighting games on an Xbox 360 style controller, but now with a GameCube controller. So yeah, really, N64 games are actually just best played with an N64 controller.
Yep.
But yeah, as far as emulating them goes, like, I think really the N64, maybe actually that console generation was sort of like the first really controversial generation of like console emulators, because on the PlayStation side you had Bleem, which was a commercial emulator sold in stores, along with its contemporary for the Mac, like Connectix Game Station, or at least I think that's what it was called. Basically, they shipped you or you could buy a software disk that would, or you could put into your CD-ROM drive on your PC, fire up the emulator on it, and then you could swap that disk out for a commercial PlayStation disc and play PlayStation games on your PC. But then on the Nintendo side of things, you had there was an early N64 emulator called Ultra HLE. Was developed by Reality Man and Epsilon, and it was not only one of the first N64 emulators to be able to run commercial games, but it was also one of the first emulators to be able to do that at playable frame rates, which of course Nintendo wasn't happy about, because they're never happy about people emulating their games. So they sent a cease and desist to them, and they bowed out pretty quickly. I believe they handed over the source code to Nintendo, discontinued working on the project, and abandoned their internet handles, Reality Man and Epsilon, and basically went radio silent, more or less never to be heard of again, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is why, maybe don't try and write an emulator for a console that's still being sold in stores.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing nobody would do anything like that today.
Yeah. And if you were doing such a thing, maybe you should consider switching.
And also maybe consider not accepting monetary payment in exchange for development of said emulator. Anyway, that's getting a little off
And
topic.
also, crack skulls in your community Discord about ROM sharing, because that's how they got in trouble in the first place.
Yeah.
Not only should you not tout running games that are not released yet, but you should also not share those games if they haven't been released yet.
Yeah.
Anyways, part of the reason why the N64 is so difficult to emulate is because of its reality processing unit, which is actually a really cool hardware feature of the N64. It was more or less like a programmable microcode unit. Or something akin to like a field programmable gate array that you could write custom routines to run on, which actually made, or developing games for the N64 kind of unique, because you could just use Nintendo's standard dev library, but then also have the ability to write your own custom routines to run on the reality processing unit that some developers like Factor 5, Factor 5, they wrote custom graphics routines for games like Star Wars Rogue Squadron and Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. They do stuff like custom resolution scaling and stuff. Yeah.
So
But it was also difficult to emulate because it was a 64-bit emulation, or 64-bit console that needed to be emulated in a time of 32-bit computing.
Yeah, that might complicate things.
A little bit.
So here's another interesting tidbit of info. So, originally the plan for the system was for it to be called the Ultra 64.
Yeah.
But then Earthbound series creator Shigesato Itoi actually proposed just simplifying it to the Nintendo 64. Just an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't it have been something if there was an Earthbound game on the N64?
There almost was.
Oh, yeah.
This is the part where we talk about the doomed expansion accessory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the N64 almost had a disk drive accessory.
Did it actually have it in Japan?
It did actually have it in Japan, but
That's what I
it
thought.
was never released outside of Japan.
Right.
And even in Japan, there was only a handful of titles released on it.
Not Earthbound 64, though.
Nope. Actually,
What did we get?
Most of what we got on the N64 disk drive, if memory serves, is Mario Artist, which was sort of a N64 successor to Mario Paint. There were a couple of N64 games that were released around the time of it that had interactivity between Mario Artist and that game. The N64 SimCity, you could make custom faces for the citizens in your city, if I remember correctly. And there was an F-Zero X expansion set and track editor, and yeah, that's about all I remember off the top of my head. There was originally going to be an expansion pack for Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Did that get turned into Majora's Mask?
Kinda. Like some of the ideas were reused into that, but the so-called Aura Zelda kind of stayed hidden. Like, I think there's a couple of screenshots floating around of some unused content planned for the disk drive expansion, but nothing that came to being. Either that or I'm misremembering it, and Ocarina of Time was originally planned as a 64 disk drive game, but then due to poor sales was then turned into a regular N64 game. It might be that. I think it's that. It's been a while since I've actually looked into like Legend of Zelda beta stuff, but yeah. At some point I stumbled across a debug ROM version of Ocarina of Time Master Quest that only ran in specifically Project 64 1.6K, which was a modified version of Project 64 1.6 that added the Calaria web client. And for some reason, that version could run the Master Quest debug ROM, but the regular version couldn't. And there was one day back in like 2016. It was like after I had gotten home from a third shift working Steak and Shake, and I decided to like fire up the Ocarina of Time Master Quest debug ROM, and I went through every debug map in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, which is cool. That is one redeeming quality of most N64 emulators, is that it makes Game Shark codes really easy. But yeah, I guess kind of speaking of Project 64, we can kind of thank, I think it was Zilmar, one of the original devs of that. We kind of have to thank for, at least in my opinion, part of why N64 emulation is as janky as it is. So, pretty common for like N64 and PlayStation 1 and I think PlayStation 2 emulators. I think maybe even Dolphin and Dolwyn, the GameCube emulators. They're often plug-in based, so you can like interchange different graphical and controller and sound and other like chunks of the console as different plugins. And Zilmar is the original author of the like plugin or standard for the DLL library plugins that those emulators use, which is good and bad because that meant that like the emulators were much more modular then, so you could like if someone was working on a better graphics plugin, then you could just like use that plugin in a different emulator and then have all of that features. But then like it kind of detracted away from just like everyone started using the same plugins for everything, and the core emulation kind of suffered as a result of that, from what I can tell. And even today, modern N64 emulation is a bit hit or miss too, because like at least last time I looked into like there's a map randomizer hack of Ocarina of Time called Beta Quest, and it is a like no logic entry randomizer. The randomizer seed is determined by your file name, and what it does is it randomizes all of the entrances in the game with no logic. So like if you go in one entrance, it'll take you to somewhere completely random, and going back through the entrance that you came out of does not take you back to the place that you were originally. But on speedrun.com, if I remember correctly from last time I looked into it, for Ocarina of Time Beta Quest, they actually say that versions beyond Project 64 1.6 or 1.7 are banned from use because of differences in emulation accuracy, which matters a ton for competitive speedrunning. I think to talk so much about emulation for this console, but here we are.
Well, it is kind of interesting just because of a lot of the consoles out there. This is still to this day, one of the ones that emulation struggles with.
Yeah.
Where, we kind of like alluded to it earlier, but like the Nintendo Switch has been emulated for years now, and some people have gotten in some kind of hot water for their approach to delivering said emulation. But even to this day, it's like a lot of N64 games are just at best playable, if not like not perfect one-to-one like recreations like we've kind of become accustomed to with modern emulation techniques.
Yeah.
But anyway,
instead we're actually seeing a lot of like source code disassembly and conversion to PC ports,
which is really cool.
Yeah, because
and another thing that's just kind of unique to the N64 in a way. Not that it's not happening with other platforms, but you see a lot more with like the Mario 64 decompiled or the Ocarina of Time decompiled type things. And
the N64, thanks to kind of sharing a common architecture with like high-end Unix workstations, like actually specifically the Silicon Graphics or SGI Unix workstations being both MIPS based and also SGI was the company responsible for co-developing the graphics chip for the N64. Because of that similarity in architecture, they were actually able for the first time to write games in an actual high-level programming language instead of writing it out in like whatever the CPU architecture's assembly language was, which is really cool and actually made developing games for it pretty streamlined because, instead of having to write everything out by hand in like 6502 or I forget the 16-bit variant's name, but whatever variant or 16-bit variant of the MOS 6502 CPU that Nintendo used in the SNES. Instead of writing it out in 6502 assembly, basically, they were able to write a C program and compile it to the N64's architecture, and that made development a lot easier because it kind of made it so that you didn't have to be quite as much of an electrical engineer for writing games for the console as you could be an actual just programmer.
But anyway, let's talk about some games.
Hell yeah.
Because the N64, interestingly,
Yeah.
only had a grand total of 388 games officially released.
That seems like a really small library.
That is a very, very small library.
Yeah.
By comparison, the PlayStation had almost 8,000 games. Saturn had over 1,000. There were just about 1,800 Super Nintendo games.
Wow.
So there were very, very few N64 games in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But what there were some very good ones in the mix.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because of that smaller library, the hit to miss ratio was a lot closer than it would be for like another console like the PlayStation, where it's like anyone and everyone could just throw something on a disc. Not saying that happened a lot, but like consoles have notoriously had shovelware released on them in the past, and I'm sure the N64 had its fair share also, but also Nintendo kind of stressed that they were going to be a lot more picky with this generation of system, so that way developers focused on delivering a quality product rather than just flooding the market with a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were aiming for a high quality console when they rolled it out. It's like when the N64 started out as Project Reality, like it was kind of intended to be like the hardware platform that Killer Instinct ran on in the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
So like that should tell you right there the like type of quality of game that they were aiming for.
So, Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
Neil, you were playing it this afternoon. So
Yes. It's obviously extremely influential.
Yes.
Sunshine, I mean, they slapped a water jetpack and changed the setting, but like it's still very much based on Mario 64.
Yeah.
Of course, I grew up playing Super Mario 63. 2D Super Mario 64 wouldn't exist without that game.
Yep.
Honestly, if Super Mario 64 was different, tons of 3D platformers would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It pretty quickly became like the gold standard of 3D platformers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like one of the most interesting tidbits about the game was that, like, for a long time of its development, it was just Mario in a room. And they did not really start like full development on the game until they had perfected all of the movement, like everything that Mario himself would do. They didn't start full development of the game until they had that down.
Mm-hmm.
So so a lot of the game's early development was literally go in a room.
Yeah. Like build a debug room, like go through the gameplay with a fine-tooth comb. That's it's the sort of game development I could get behind.
But that's also a game that, as many times as I tried playing it over the years, never really progressed far in it.
I am surprised how divisive that game seems to be in the Discord.
Yeah.
I personally love it, but then like, not to call you out, Jazzy, but like, Jazzy insists that like it's a terrible game with bad gameplay.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely a product of its time.
It's
an important, very highly influential game that obviously paved the way for everything that's come after it. But at the same time, outside of the time frame in which it released, it's not as comfortable to play, especially for a newcomer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot hand a 12-year-old today an N64 controller with Mario 64 and expect them to just sit down and be completely blown away by this the way that we did when we were 12. They're going to be like, what the heck? This is jank.
Mm-hmm.
Give me
Might be able
Fortnite.
to that. If I remember correctly, the task, or it was an N64 tasser that went, or by the Kai Man on the TAS Videos forum. If I remember correctly, I think they were like 12, actually.
Okay, but also, tassers are a different breed. You're talking about a very, very specific kind of person there. 12-year-olds are not. Like, that is not just like random little Johnny playing Fortnite with his friends every night after school. Like, that's a freaking, basically, more or less a prodigy, really, when you think about it.
Honestly, yeah, because if I remember correctly, they also like went on to start doing like real-time speedruns of Super Mario 64, as well as I think Jet Force Gemini.
Yeah, like that is not at all representative of the average 12-year-old.
Yeah, but it's still really cool.
I mean, yeah, it's cool.
Have you seen the any percent TAS of Super Mario 64?
No, I have not.
It's incredible. And it's shorter than the Super Mario Brothers 1 on the NES speedrun.
Amazing. But like, every single time I've tried to start Mario 64 over the years, it's like, I might play a couple of the actual levels, but most of my time is just spent running around the overworld, messing around, and then I get bored. And then that's the end of it. I've never really progressed. I don't even know if I've done the first Bowser Castle in this game ever in my life. Ever. Like, that's how little of this game that I've actually played, just because I've never really cared about 3D platformers that much also, especially like the early ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think Super Mario World was probably more impactful for me, because I've like gone through that and beaten it 96 exit several times. I have yet to collect all 120 stars, mostly because the 100 coin stars are kind of a pain in the butt, because every level has a hidden star where you get it by collecting 100 coins in the level.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot of coins.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as opposed from like previous Mario games where collecting 100 coins just kind of, it gave you an extra life, which was nice. But it was never something I like was obligated to do, and
yeah, that's another thing that Mario 64 did, and just like 3D platformers in general, is like probably following Mario 64's example, where it's like your progression is gated behind collecting things. You need a certain number of stars to access a certain level and stuff, and
which is
carry on and proceed.
fine.
Where platformers of the past, like Super Mario World, is like the goal is to get to the end of the level, and there are secrets in the level that you can find and seek out and unlock hidden things, but your progression to Bowser was never hindered by not having some kind of arbitrary thing.
Yeah,
I would say, although Sonic Adventure was definitely not as airtight of a game as a lot of these other collectathons, its method of getting through the game was much preferable over those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I guess Sonic Adventure be a generation ahead of this, though?
That would be the generation after, yeah.
Yep.
It just feels like it's not because Sonic Team is not doing great.
Yeah, and the Dreamcast
It just doesn't feel like
exists
it
in this weird
wasn't
space.
because no one knew about the Saturn.
That's true too, yeah. But that was 32-bit.
Yeah. This is 64-bit.
Right.
It says so right there on the box.
Yep.
Nintendo 64.
Yeah. 64-bit MIPS processor, which I actually know a bit of MIPS assembly, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. I also, like in logic circuit simulation software, built a 16-bit MIPS compatible CPU with our friend Airy.
But
and then as a
another
final project for that class, we ended up making a 8-bit adder circuit using Magic the Gathering card abilities.
aha, nice.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, another kind of big game, obviously, that the Nintendo 64 is quite famous for is Ocarina of Time.
Probably
of
my
Zelda.
favorite single player experience on the N64. Yeah. I've played through that game so many times.
My only experience with it is the 3DS version. Is a rougher game to get through when I played it than Wind Waker.
It's weird because it both plays better and worse on the 3DS.
Yeah, it's one of those like it's not an upgrade. It's a
side
different
grade
version. It's a different version.
It's a
with
grade.
pros and cons. It's a grade.
Yep.
We graded it to a different system.
Yeah, it's like because the plus side is the menu is just on the bottom screen.
Yep.
Mhm.
So you never
Which
have to
helps a
like
ton.
yeah, so it makes like swapping items and stuff a lot easier and more streamlined. But just playing a 3D game with nothing but a D-pad doesn't feel good. Well, no
Mhm.
way, because the 3DS had that little nub too.
It had
Yeah,
the circle pad and the nub.
Yeah, the circle pad. Yeah, the circle pad just didn't feel as good either as like an actual joystick.
Yeah.
So technically everything was there for it, but it's just like on such a small device also compared to playing it
Yeah.
on a TV. It's just yeah, it's weird. It's a side grade. It's
I'm realizing I'm about to circle back around to Super Mario 64, but Ocarina of Time 3D was definitely better than Super Mario 60. How Super Mario 64 DS played.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is also a side grade with all the
Extra
extra characters. Yeah.
Yep.
Upgraded graphics despite being a DS game.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think they should have done Super Mario 64 on the DS. Should have waited for the 3DS and then they could have had a Mario and a Zelda game.
Yeah. I think it was cool as a way to like introduce like, hey, look what we can do on this system.
Yeah.
But
True.
From a technical standpoint, it's
Yeah.
impressive, but
It should have been a tech demo. It should have been like you can walk around the castle and the castle grounds in Super Mario 64 as like just something that comes with the DS pre-installed.
yeah. Or like a inbox demo or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I think I've played through Link to the Past more still, but Ocarina of Time is probably the Legend of Zelda game I've played the second most.
it's definitely the game that I've played the most, but I've never beaten it.
Z targeting is really influential too.
Yeah.
That figures out something that we didn't quite have in Mario 64,
Yeah.
which it doesn't need as much over there because it's just a platformer, but like for combat,
Yeah.
such an important step.
Yeah.
Well, just having a way to lock onto and focus on an enemy in an action
Mhm.
game is
that is
very useful. Even in modern games, that still carries forward, and like a lot of modern action games incorporate some form of lock-on, which kind of traces all the way back to Z targeting on Ocarina.
Yeah.
You can buy lock-on mods for your weapons in Ratchet and Clank, and you can lock onto them in different ways too.
Yeah.
And that's a generation later or so.
Yep. And I mean, of course, it turned into L targeting in the GameCube Zeldas, and it more or less continued to be a omnipresent thing in every 3D Zelda title since.
Yeah, unfortunately, they never really improved the overall combat in 3D Zelda. Like, even playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the combat still feels like it did in Ocarina of Time. Very, very simple. Which, I mean, if it ain't broke, but at the same time, is like 3D action games have evolved a lot over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Like going from, say, like, to compare two games that came out last year, like Tears of the Kingdom or Final Fantasy 16. It's like Final Fantasy 16 feels significantly a lot better in the combat department than Tears of the Kingdom did. Not to say it was bad, but it's just like it definitely just feels still like you're playing an N64 game in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ocarina did so many cool things though.
Yeah.
Like just the whole like time, the way it uses time in the game, like going from young Link to adult Link was a really cool mechanic.
And it almost had a real-time clock put into it back when it was originally planned as a 64 disk drive game.
Whoa.
So would have Earthbound 64 if that actually existed.
Whoa.
Yeah, they apparently wanted to be really ambitious with that to like the point of like keeping track of like footprints in the sand. But we'll probably never find out any more information as to what that actually is, unless like I don't know, the developer discs for the Earthbound 64 never actually show up. Did you know that there's a like dummied out beta element in the retail version of Ocarina of Time that you can access with Game Shark codes? And it is actually just a Star Fox 64 R-Wing.
Oh.
Yeah. I guess when they were developing the boss of the Fire Temple, Volvagia, instead of the dragon that it eventually would end up as, that it started out like for AI development for it as a Star Fox R-Wing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time was actually like one of the first N64 games that we owned.
I've actually never owned that game on the 64.
Really?
Yeah. I had the 3DS version. That's the game I bought with my first 3DS. But I've never owned Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64.
You need more snacks, Mavis. Yeah, I've had that on the N64, and I also have the GameCube version, which is more or less just N64 emulation on the GameCube of Ocarina of Time. But it includes the unreleased Ocarina of Time Master Quest, so
nice.
That's cool too. The Water Temple's not hard, y'all just bad at video games. Shots fired.
That's an area that the 3DS version improved on, actually. Because a lot of it isn't that it's hard, it's that going in and out of the menu items around constantly just makes it such a slow process. It's
That-
tedious. It's not hard, it's tedious. So you remove the tedium by putting the menu on the bottom screen of the 3DS, for example, and like it's a normal puzzle dungeon.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I've never really heard anyone say like they hate it in reference to it being difficult or anything. I think it's just like it in the original N64 version. It's just kind of going in and out of the menu and all that drags the pacing of the game down. It's just tedious and annoying to get through. Not so much hard.
Yeah.
So I'll say I didn't mind it when I played it on 3DS. I did manage to get that far. I was like, wait, I thought this was bad. This is just normal.
Mm-hmm.
And the raising, lowering wall mechanic was fun
Yeah.
when you didn't have to go in and out of your menu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a solution for that, but it's also like not the intended way. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a little glitch called ocarina items, and if you perform the ocarina items glitch and use your shield as the item, then it will bring up the ocarina prompt for you to play Zelda's Lullaby just by walking up to the Triforce crests. So you never actually have to pull out your ocarina for it, so you can just kind of shelve that in your inventory.
Nice. But yeah, one awesome thing about the N64 though was the 4 controller ports.
Yeah.
It kind of made it like the definitive party machine
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
for a lot of people,
I mean,
especially with
a lot of the time when I think of N64 games, it's the multiplayer ones.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's like Mario Kart 64, Super
That
Smash
was-
Bros, Mario Party. Then you have like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. It's just like
Yep.
this game excels so much in the multiplayer department.
Yep. All-time friendship ruiners, Mario Party 1, 2, and 3.
And
Oh,
controller
I missed.
controller ruiners in some places too.
Oh yeah. The analog
Destroy your
stick.
thumbstick.
Yep.
The analog
Destroy
stick
it.
was a new thing.
So let's see
Analog
how fast
stick
we
is
can
a
rotate it.
Not great thing on the N64, to be honest.
No.
That's true. I mean, it was the first ever controller to use one, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I think this came before the dual analog
Yes.
PlayStation controller.
Yep. Because the PlayStation was originally designed for the PlayStation gamepad,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
which Sony's original idea for that was to like use the shoulder buttons to control your Z axis on the camera, which is why instead of just having a singular L and R button like the Super Nintendo controller design that it evolved from, it has L1, R1, and L2, R2.
Mm-hmm. Which did also end up being a good thing, because buttons and triggers are a very nice thing to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Mario Kart 64 is sort of a hugely competitive game in my family. But yeah, spent a lot of time playing that, not only with my sister, but with my parents as well in like 4-player multiplayer, and it was great for me. Probably a little frustrating for everyone else because I grinded that game. Like I'm by no means like a competitive level Mario Kart player at Mario Kart 64, but like I'm incredibly difficult to get past once I'm in first.
And yeah,
Which I mean very much sounds like how's bragging camp going, but that's what happens when you like grind out getting first place in every cup on 50, 100, 150, and
Mhm.
extra, which in Mario Kart 64 is 150cc with the tracks mirrored. And
Yeah,
you know
Mario
what my
Kart
reward for doing that was? An alternate title screen.
Oh, you get 64.
Yeah.
At least in Double Dash, you do still get that, but also Gold Car.
Yeah.
Mario 64 is where Mario Kart really became, okay, this is a fun game.
Yeah.
I disagree. It was always fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree, but
For what
like,
it is, Super Mario Kart is pretty fun, but like I think the addition of having 4-player multiplayer really
Yeah.
like
3D
kicked it to
rendered
the next level.
tracks. 3D rendered tracks got the attention of more people outside of just you kid playing your Super NES. You know, like you could have your parent looking at Mario Kart 64 and be like, "Oh, I could do that. That's just driving."
Yeah. I mean, Super Mario Kart could have been cool too if it actually could take advantage of the SNES multi-tap.
Yeah, that'd be pretty neat.
And instead it was
But
just like
who knew
Bomberman
that?
game.
But who knew that thing existed until like
I
several
did.
years after it was relevant? Aside from you, I didn't even know it was a thing until like a year ago when I found out that it existed, and that was how you played 3 players in Secret of Mana.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a thing until literally right now. So
Yeah. It was like co-developed by Hudson Soft, mostly as a way to do like 4-player multiplayer in Bomberman, because there were several Super Bomberman games for the SNES, and they had multiplayer. As a matter of fact, you could get a version of the multi-tap that was like shaped like Bomberman's very rectangular head, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I knew about that all the way back in like the 90s because it just so happened that my parents had an issue of Nintendo Power that like the cover article for it was cool SNES accessories. So of course I ate that right up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I first learned about cool stuff like the SN Pro pad, which I have, and the ASCII pad, which I also have, and the Super Advantage, which, surprise, I have. Capcom released a fight stick for the Super Nintendo to coincide with the Super Nintendo version of Street Fighter 2: The World Warrior. Everyone knows the SNES mouse from Mario Paint. And the Super Scope because it's the successor to the Zapper. Yeah, I didn't actually have a ton of N64 accessories, though. We pretty much only ever had standard N64 controllers. But I did have one accessory for it that we actually touched on a little bit in our Hey Listeners segment. Crystal Lily brought it up when talking about Hey You Pikachu because it came with the microphone interface. And yeah, I also had a lot of fond memories of playing Hey You Pikachu growing up. And yeah, that was really cool. Like, being able to talk to Pikachu.
Yeah, that was pretty ahead of its time.
Yeah. Yeah. The N64 was also like right up there along with the PlayStation. Like one of the first consoles to have a controller that allowed for like a rumble force feedback type interaction.
That's true. The rumble back.
Yeah. It was an accessory for the N64, but then it kind of became part of standard controller with the PlayStation. Yeah. And that plugged into the expansion slot on the controller, which was interesting. Which, the expansion slot on the controller in itself was interesting because that's where you would plug in console memory cards, but also like most of the games that I have on the N64 that have save data on them have like battery backed save RAM on the cartridge as opposed to saving to the memory card. Like I have a few games like Castlevania 64, which is bad, but I love that game because it was the first Castlevania game that I ever played, so it's a wonder that I like the series even because it's not great. But yeah. Kind of transitioning into expansions for the N64 though. There was I think Donkey Kong 64 was the first game to like require an expansion. To the point where they included it in the box, and I think with new consoles moving forward from that, there's a memory expansion that plugged into the console itself, which allowed for higher resolution textures to be stored in memory. And if I remember correctly, it was also rumored to fix a memory leak issue with Donkey Kong Donkey Kong 64, where like supposedly on like the unexpanded N64 after a while due to a memory leak, supposedly the game would crash.
Oof.
But I believe that was actually debunked at some point. Because if I remember correctly, Donkey Kong 64 will play on a N64 that doesn't have the expansion. Yeah, also some games just flat out required it because they needed the expanded memory. Like, if I remember correctly, Majora's Mask kind of suffers from performance issues without an expansion pack installed.
Huh.
I don't believe it was performance related. I think this was more of a case of like it could take advantage of the memory expansion. But the very first N64 game that I ever owned, Donald Duck Going Quackers, had a splash screen on start that would show like a 3D model of the memory expansion spinning around saying N64 expansion pack detected.
Hmm.
And it, allowed for higher resolution textures to be loaded because it doubled the 64's base memory. That game's really fun too. And well, probably the most fun and also the last time I had fun with a Ubisoft game. Sorry.
So, something also interesting about the Nintendo 64 in particular is it had some games that were exclusive to Blockbuster. As in the rental chain actually had some exclusive published games for the Nintendo 64 that you could only buy from them.
Yeah.
One of which
Were they any good?
One of which was one of my biggest white whales of all Nintendo 64 games. There was a Beast Wars Transmetals fighting game for the Nintendo 64. It was okay. But
do you have a copy of that? Because we should
no.
try that. Ooh,
No, I don't
find one.
Well, there was one at our store recently, but I didn't like the condition that the cartridge is in, so I passed on it. Also, it was like $150.
Ooh, so a good condition one's going to be like 200 upwards, isn't it?
Not necessarily. It's just they're, but I just did not want to spend that much. Interestingly, there was a limited edition version of the Infernal Machine that was exclusive to Blockbuster. The specifically N64 version of Razor Freestyle Scooter was a Blockbuster exclusive.
Huh.
Then let's see, there's International Track and Field 2000. Daikatana is a part of a PC game. And Stunt Racer 64 and Clay Fighter 63 and a third Sculptor's Cut.
Yeah. That game exists.
Yeah, but what?
Clay Fighter is weird.
But yeah, I just remember renting that Transmetals game back in the day. It was like, this is awesome. It's not really that good, but it's still like one of the only Transformers games that existed at the time.
And
I still love it for that, at least.
Yeah. It's wild that Daikatana was a Blockbuster exclusive, because that game is a dumpster fire. A really high-profile dumpster fire, because that was produced by the studio that John Romero founded after he left id Software. So, like, there was a ton of hype behind Daikatana because the guy that co-wrote Doom made a game with his new company.
And it was bad.
It was bad.
Oh boy.
It's a fairly infamously bad game.
Huh. I've heard the name before. That's about it. But yeah, I don't know if it was just like a limited edition version of that game, or if it was like that the N64 version of that game was just exclusive to Blockbuster outright. But still very interesting that Blockbuster of all places had exclusive N64 games. It's so weird. But I'll tell you about a game that wasn't exclusive to Blockbuster that I loved, but I also rented it from Blockbuster on occasion. I already mentioned it once before. It was Battletanks Global Assault.
Yeah.
That game slaps. That is, I'm not kidding when I say that's probably one of the most underrated, especially from a multiplayer perspective, one of the most underrated games on that system. It is so much fun. You basically have a whole bunch of tanks that you can choose from, and they all have different stats and like firing patterns and stuff like that. And then you're just stuck in these huge battlefields and complete objective based like combat and stuff, and like death matches and stuff like that with other tanks. It is so fun, and it has full 4-player support on the N64.
Nice.
It's so good. There's a PlayStation version that exists also. And I bought it back in the day thinking, because this is before when I only had a PlayStation, I didn't have my N64. And I bought it. It's like, I love Battle Tanks on the N64, and now it's there's a version on the PlayStation. PlayStation version wasn't as good.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the differences were, but it did not feel the same. Like it was like one of those cases where it was different from the N64 port. I don't know if it was like an entirely different game, but it was different enough that it just didn't feel the same. Like I much preferred it on the 64, and it's one of my favorite 64 games. And I own it twice!
Yeah.
It's a great game. Highly recommend checking it out if you've got a Nintendo 64 lying around.
I do.
It's really good. And still pretty affordable. I think the last time I checked, it's like a $25 cartridge still. So it's not the worst.
Yeah.
It is going up though, because like my first copy of it, I got it for $10 a couple of years ago. So I mean, it is going up in price. Either you guys play a lot of GoldenEye growing up?
No.
I didn't play a ton of it. It was a game that I would play a few times over at my friend Brad's house in elementary school.
I played a lot of GoldenEye. Not quite as much Perfect Dark, but I did play quite a bit of Perfect Dark at my friend's house. Those games are what really turned me into the first-person shooter fan. Going from those and then into Halo. It's like, yeah, I love these games. It's like they're a bit hard to play nowadays, especially like even with the modern ports. But they were great for their time, and just kind of like Mario 64, they are very important pieces. There's so much about the N64 generation in particular that is just like, this is important stepping stone for the like just the industry as a whole. Like,
Yeah.
in a way, like the PlayStation had a lot of that too, but I feel like the N64 had more considering its smaller library.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost had like, I mean, you got Mario 64 that defined 3D platformers. You had Zelda 60, like Ocarina of Time, that defined how an action game would feel in a 3D space. You had GoldenEye and Perfect Dark that showed that you can take a traditionally PC centric genre of the first person shooter and translate it to a console in a way that works and is fun.
Yeah.
Right?
It
There's
really,
just
I mean, it bears no semblance to like modern console FPS controls, but like it was the first console to really properly bring first person shooters to a game console.
yeah.
Because like it had Doom and Wolfenstein 3D on the Super Nintendo, but like I don't know if you've ever tried playing them, but like it's
Not the
not
same.
great.
And at this point, I don't even know if I want to say it's impressive that it runs on those, because at this point, Doom runs on everything.
True. As a matter of fact, people have ported Doom back to the Super Nintendo even better.
It made it better. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because actually, Limited Run Games is actually they're releasing that next year.
Yep.
Sometime. They're actually doing like an upgraded version of Doom for the Super Nintendo that you can buy on an actual Super Nintendo cartridge.
Yep. It is like a brand new port from the source code too.
Yeah. And I think they've added back a lot of content and stuff to it as well. Like,
yeah,
that's definitely something I'm keeping my eyes out for next year.
Yeah.
Because I want a copy of that.
Yep. If I remember correctly, they added back in like the ability for the enemies to face away from you. So you can sneak up on them and they aren't always facing your direction.
Yeah.
Which actually really upped the difficulty of that game.
But it's also nice because they're doing they do open pre-orders and stuff, which means you don't have to worry about it selling out and then not being able to get this, like, what will likely become a highly sought after copy of that game.
Yeah.
Because it's Doom on the Super Nintendo that actually works.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It would be cool if somehow they like took advantage of both controller ports and you could use like, I don't know, D-pad controls on a SNES D-pad and then use the SNES mouse for aiming.
Oh my god.
So you could have sort of like WASD controls.
That'd be funny. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye open for that next year.
Yeah.
It's always cool when they bring back stuff that's like actually pressed on original hardware cartridges and stuff like that. Like every now and then when they bring back like N64 games and stuff, they'll do a actual N64 cartridge.
Yeah.
And stuff. They've done a lot of like Game Boy Color games. They brought back like a lost Shantae game from the GBA.
Yeah.
And offered it on a Game Boy Advance cartridge. It's cool that companies do stuff like that still.
Yeah.
Be nice if bigger, less like resource limited companies would do stuff like that. But that's beside the point. Now we're way off topic.
I'm good at that. I guess kind of in the a similar vein though. Isn't there a company that was doing a modern like re-release of Glover for the N64 and supposedly
that was also
its
limited
sequel?
run.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Have you ever played Glover on the N64? It's honestly one of my favorite games on the console.
No. But speaking of modern things and Nintendo 64, did you guys hear that Analog, the company that made like the Analog Pocket, which is like those FPGA Game Boys?
Yeah.
they're doing analog Nintendo 64,
Oh, cool.
and it comes out next year. And it comes in white, and it's pretty tempting if I had an actual legitimate reason to want to buy it outside of just modding the N64 that I have with an HDMI port,
Yeah.
which has saved me a lot of money because this is like $250. Looks
Yeah.
pretty sleek though. It's pretty cool because I mean it is going a lot further than just
Yeah.
like simple software emulation.
Yep.
It reverse engineered and recreates the actual N64 processes.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The N64 is pretty cool.
It is.
So
Before,
Hmm?
I'd like to bring up. You mentioned this in the intro, I believe. There were a lot of companies that jumped ship on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I was definitely going to bring up, sticking to the Nintendo, Squaresoft and Mario's Superstar Saga. No, the other one.
Super Mario RPG.
That guy. There's also stars in there and Super. Yes. But Square stopped producing that and it ended up turning into Paper Mario, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
It kind of paved the way for Paper Mario. It didn't necessarily like turn into it. It was more like Nintendo wanted to do more of these things, but by then their relationship with Square Enix had broken apart when Square decided they wanted to release Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation.
Yep.
And then that's when they went with a different company to make Mario RPGs, and then Paper Mario is what became of that.
Yeah. Well, right here on Wikipedia, the original Paper Mario began as a sequel to Super Mario RPG, but the development changed. Oh yeah, it's Mario Story in Japan. But Squaresoft also left with their Final Fantasy series.
Yep.
Yep.
They had like a tech demo of stuff running on the Nintendo 64. But then when they saw like what they could do on the PlayStation with the CD quality audio, the ability to have more storage for them to do their cinematics and stuff, they're like, well, guess we're gonna hop over there then.
Yep.
And has Final Fantasy been like
they really said
PlayStation?
Nuts.
Final Fantasy has been a Sony exclusive now, hasn't it? Or am I completely off here? No? Okay.
I mean, it was for the PS1, PS2 generation.
Okay.
It was PlayStation exclusive, and then PS3, starting with Final Fantasy 13, it went multi-platform.
Yeah.
Right. Final Fantasy 14 is multi-platform too. Sure.
Yep.
Well, technically, Final Fantasy 14 was PC and PlayStation for a long time.
Okay.
It was only, I think it was this year it launched on Xbox for the first time ever. So I think they always wanted to put it on Xbox, but there was always something that was kind of preventing that, be it hardware or corporate.
Which is weird because
corporate.
the Xbox nowadays is ostensibly a gaming PC. So.
Well, I mean, back then it would have been on the Xbox 360, which was not hardware-wise as powerful as the PS3 was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But also, it's just like
ironically had a Power PC processor powering it.
Like a lot of it keeping it off of Xbox has been more so on the Microsoft side than Square Enix, because because of the way that Xbox Live worked and Microsoft not wanting to like budge on that, like requiring a subscription, where if you play Final Fantasy 14 on PlayStation, you don't have to pay for PS Plus to play 14 on PlayStation. You just had to pay the sub to 14. Where Xbox, even now that they finally have it on there, you have to pay for Xbox Live, which is now just generically rolled into Game Pass, and you had to pay the 14 sub. So it's like you're kind of getting screwed a little bit playing the game on Xbox even now, but at least it's there.
TLDR, Square saw that Xbox didn't have games and decided, why start now?
But Final Fantasy 15 released on Xbox. That's what I bought it on originally.
Yeah, I know.
I still own that copy. I don't own the Xbox I bought it for anymore, but I still own that copy because it's the deluxe edition with the movie, the prequel movie included in it with the steelbook and everything. So I was like, yeah, I'm at least keeping this. Of course, I have an Xbox I can play it on now.
Yep.
Beside the point. Anyway, Nintendo 64. It's a great console.
Yep.
And yeah, let's move on to our weekly link to the past. We are recording this episode a week early. Come to find out, we didn't actually have to record this episode a week early because I messed up the day that holidays were happening on, but
kind of works out on my end though, because my sister will be in town.
Yeah. So. I mean, it works out. It ended up working out for all of us because all of us ended up having plans next week anyway. So it's like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, so that in mind, releasing today on a date of recording. Today is the 17th of November. Many things, many things of note released today. We're not going to talk about all of those things because then the next time we ended up recording an episode on the 17th of November, we wouldn't really have much to talk about, would we? But we found a way to narrow it down because we're talking about a specific console today, and another specific console just happened to release today. That specific console being the PlayStation 3, which released in North America on November 17, 2006, 18 years ago. To all the people who argue this constantly online, PlayStation 3 is 18 years old. It's retro. Get over it.
It can vote and buy cigarettes.
Exactly.
Is that the qualifier for retro? Can it vote and buy cigarettes?
I don't know, but it's not. I don't know. But yeah.
That's going to be my rule from now on. Can it buy cigarettes and vote?
Yeah.
Now it's retro.
It's legally an adult.
I mean, it's older now than the Super Nintendo was when the PlayStation 3 came out 18 years ago. And back then, nobody argued that the Super Nintendo was retro. The PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 by extension, they are retro. Get over it. Anyway, did you know the PlayStation 3, the original models, could play super audio CDs?
Really?
Did you know that a super audio CD was a thing?
I did.
No, I know what it would be now that I'm aware of it, but well, because it's really the equivalent of like Blu-ray, but for audio CDs. I assume.
Sorta.
They are essentially higher bitrate CDs, but most of them are also just backwards compatible for regular CD players, so you can play them in those. But if you put them in a super audio CD player, then like they will play back with enhanced bitrate versions or enhanced sampling rate versions.
They also had a much larger storage capacity than a traditional CD. The single layers had a 4.7 gigabyte capacity, or a 4.3 gigabyte, or a 4.7 gigabyte capacity, and then the dual layers could go up to 7.9 to 8.5 gigabytes capacity.
Yeah.
Which is what allowed for them to have higher bitrate audio and stuff. But
now, where do I buy a pack of recordable super audio CDs?
That's a good question, Mega Man.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't know about this until very recently. Spawnwave did a video on it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it's only the fat PS3s that have the full backward compatibility that have this feature. But yeah, just another Like they were really trying to make the PlayStation 3 like the ultimate media device back then, and
They kind of succeeded with that.
yeah, I mean, like Super Audio CD players are not cheap. Like
Yeah.
they were definitely an enthusiast device, especially back then. And here you could get one for $600 that doesn't just play your Super Audio CDs. It plays Blu-rays and DVDs and, well, regular audio CDs, in addition to playing video games. So they really tried to, in a way, one up what they did with the PS2 and playing Blu-rays, or not Blu-rays, and playing DVDs by like just how many different media things can we put in here. And well, here's so here is an Oppo digital Super Audio thing. Wait, no, where here's a Yamaha Super Audio CD player that's partially functional on eBay for $450. Buy it now in 2024.
Dang.
Like,
Yeah.
here's one for $1,000. Like, these things they were not cheap, especially like the high end ones were very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And you could just get one with your PlayStation 3.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, I own a PlayStation 3 that can play Super Audio CDs.
I do not.
I don't
Mine is
actually
the
own
Sony.
any Super Audio CDs, though.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question too. Where can you buy an album on a Super Audio CD?
eBay.
Probably.
Apparently,
I wonder.
apparently, Dark Side of the Moon came on Super Audio CD.
Well, that's not surprising.
That's the CD that Spawnwave used to test his out in this video.
Apparently, between 2007 and 2008, Genesis re-released their entire studio album discography on a 3 SACD box set.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to just like see what all came out on a Super Audio CD.
Yeah. So like the sample rate frequency for a standard audio CD is 44.1 kilohertz. The sample rate for a SACD is 2822.4 kilohertz, which is
significantly more. And
yeah.
Also, a Super Audio CD supports up to 6 audio channels versus 2 on a standard audio CD.
Yeah.
So you could basically encode surround sound into into an audio CD, which is pretty wild. Yeah,
like that Genesis
couple
box
albums
set
on
that
this.
I mentioned was the albums are all in like a new stereo mix, but also a 5.1 surround mix.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to get a copy of like Dark Side of the Moon on Super Audio CD because hearing that in surround sound would be transformative.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any Metallica albums on Super Audio CD. If I can get like Injustice for All on Super Audio CD.
Ooh. See, list of SACD artists.
Ooh.
At least according to this list on Wikipedia, no.
Oh.
No Metallica. There is 9 Inch Nails, though.
Nice. Okay, but yeah, happy birthday to the PlayStation 3. It is retro. It was retro last year. It was retro the year before last.
Yeah.
It was retro the year before last.
Stop making me feel old.
The PlayStation 3 is retro.
I would like to say one quick thing. Being the Sonic fan, I got to get one last Sonic reference in here. The PS3's library of... Hold on. The PS3's library of Sonic games is probably the best set there is on any console. I mean, obviously 06 is there. But the other ones are all pretty good. Unleashed is pretty good. Generations is obviously great. Both of the racing games are great. And what's the other one it has? I forget what the other one is, but there's one other one that's pretty good. So I am very happy to have a PS3 that I can play all these good games on.
Yeah.
The PS3 is pretty cool.
It is. It'd be cooler
Please.
if they allowed you to install other OS on it still, though.
Yeah, we get it. You're a user.
Yep.
Anyway, that's the end of episode Nintendo 64. Lucas, where can we find you outside the podcast?
Well, find me on Linktree at linktr.ee/karn_evil_999. There you can find links to my YouTube channel that I run for the podcast, where I upload long plays of the games we talk about in our That One Game series of episodes. Ratchet and Clank is going live.
Yeah, watch one of those.
I thought it was called Going Commando.
I feel like you'd get algorithmically demoted if you just throw Going Commando in the title.
Huh.
Maybe not.
Ratchet and Clank send nudes. Anyways. Also slowly working on That One Game Extra Phantasy Star Online Episode 2 in my spare time. And that's going up on there too. And then also links to follow me on socials like Twitter, which I'm less active on now, and Blue Sky, which I'm now somewhat active on because it actually reminds me, or the platform there reminds me of like Twitter when I actually liked using it. Yeah, getting on Blue Sky has been great. It reminds me so much of the Twitter that I joined back in 2011 for the CS 163 class that I was taking in college for computer science. We were doing a project for writing a Twitter client using the Twitter API, which now costs you an arm and a leg because a billionaire needed more money, I guess. And then, of course, you can also add me on Steam. Got links to my Steam on there. And, of course, links to listen back to our back catalog of podcast episodes and join the podcast Discord. That's linktr.ee/karn_evil_999.
And where could Neil be found?
I am also on Linktree at linktr.ee/BMK9. I got links to my Twitch, got links to podcast shenanigans, I got link to my X/Twitter account, and a link to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm just going to pass this right over to you, Colin.
Guys, I climbed a tree, and I found all my...
right.
And when I got to the top of the tree, I found all my links.
Wow.
I joined Linktree. I have a Linktree. I finally did it. I have too many links. They're all in my Linktree. linktr.ee/delicious morsels. All of my links are there. All of my YouTubes and my Twitches and my Spotify artists and my Blue Sky. Because I'm also on Blue Sky now.
Cool.
Like Lucas. Because, guys, it's actually really good over there. And has a significant lack of felon muskrats. So it's pretty good in my book.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really, really good. If Twitter's tiring you out, come over to Blue Sky. It's better. There's a more positive air over there. People actually just talk about video games instead of not that.
I actually just saw a thing posted by Xkeeper on there earlier today about how they have a quote post function kind of like Twitter does, but
if someone uses that to harass you, then you can just remove your post from that quote post entirely, and then and their block button is actually a block button.
Yeah, if you block the person that quote tweeted that, then the post also disappears.
Yeah.
So then they're stuck looking like an idiot saying, hey, look at this guy with no post to go along with it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the site in the few days that I've been a member on it already. But yeah, all my links are in the trees. linktr.ee/delicious morsels. And that is the end. As always, if you liked what you heard here today, please be sure to hit the subscribe button where that's an option. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, preferably 5 stars. That'd be awesome because I hear they like that stuff. Hit the like button if that's the thing, and feel free to share this episode with a friend. We are going to be back in a couple of weeks with another episode, but until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember,
Play for the cows.
stay for the bear.